Under a deep blue, almost black sky hanging heavy over the frozen wasteland with rare, icy blue streaks, a dim orange orb rises low over the horizon, bathing everything in a hazy light. The road, packed with black sand worn by countless iron soles, ends at the shore. There, thick anthracite waters sluggishly flow along the great river's current, originating from the very abyss. The river's far side is veiled in an impenetrable mist, offering no return. Only a tall golden bridge stretches to the other side, allowing those who've come to find eternal rest. Guarding the bridge steadfastly are two figures, a woman and a wolf, a mighty giantess and a monstrous hound, ensuring no departed soul leaves death's halls, nor any living dares enter. Atop the bridge stands a majestic female figure in a black cloak tinged with blue, her splendid hair cascading from her hood over her chest. Her slender frame, imbued with otherworldly strength, is concealed within the cloak's folds. Her delicate hands, adorned with tattooed threads, rest upon her chest. Her facial features are noble and astonishingly symmetrical, unmatched in beauty by any human woman, accentuated by her pale, slightly bluish skin, a silver crown glittering atop her head, and in her deep black eyes one could lose themselves forever. Goddess Hel, daughter of Loki, and the giantess Angrboda, ruler of Helheim, and the death goddess, whose icy embrace is always open. Hel accepts all but pities none, claiming souls strictly on their due time. She is among those who can see the Wyrd of both mortals and gods. There's a theory that Hel is not merely the name of Loki and Angrboda's daughter, but a title for the ruler of Helheim, the realm of the dead, delving into the depth of time to when Scandinavians, possibly before the arrival of Germanic tribes, worshipped the mighty natural forces of the Jotun Tursas. One can sense a different image of the death goddess, more typical of pre-Neolithic cultures. To these people, intimately connected with wild nature, death was the force from which all arises and to which all returns. The northern tradition preserves the image of the one who ruled Helheim before the current daughter of Loki, a mighty Jotun woman, the bringer of sorrow, a monster birther, the sovereign and witch of the Iron Forest. The cold, beautiful, and inevitable Hel inherits Helheim and the role of the death goddess from her mother, Angrboda. Goddess Hel can grant her followers wisdom and aid in various magical practices. She guides and supports through personal transformations and spiritual initiations. Her principles leave a mark for those unafraid of death, always mindful of its presence. Hale's principles, the mistress of Helheim. First rule, memento mori, remember death. Tomorrow might never come. There's only the present moment, only the here and now, and it's essential to live fully in the now, to lead a vivid, fulfilling, and complete life. This approach helps set priorities right and manage time wisely. Important tasks should be tackled today, not postponed to a tomorrow that may never dawn. This makes life more intense, productive, and filled with exciting events. Following this principle, it's crucial not to fall into traps like depression or feeling life is meaningless. Some folks decide to do nothing, thinking everything ends anyway, and they might die tomorrow. But this mindset is fundamentally flawed. Death remembers a person at the moment it comes. Being ready for death at any moment means being the best version of yourself at all times. So, live in the here and now, fully aware of your mortality, but don't stop striving for your goals. Second rule, everything has its time. Everything in this world dies in its own time and lives for its allotted span. What's alive doesn't die, and what's dead doesn't live. Death is a natural process. Every creature on this planet, every person, dies when their time comes. There's no such thing as dying before one's time or out of turn. This needs to be understood and respected. There's also a right time for every action and deed. What was, was. What will be, will be. And here, the principle of Wyrd comes into play. If something is woven thus, it was meant to be so. This principle can significantly ease life, helping not to regret what's done and not to worry about the future. However, there are two mental traps to avoid. The first trap is ceasing to act or move forward, rationalizing that everything is already woven and will come to you on its own. But it doesn't work that way. Wyrd consists of several parts. Some are already woven, and some are being created right now. A person's actions directly influence the weaving of their Wyrd. Active efforts are still necessary. Remember, everyone weaves their own fate. The second trap is forgetting that every action has consequences. Some might think that since their Wyrd is already woven, they can act with impunity and remain unscathed. But every action has natural consequences, and committing violence against another person doesn't absolve you of responsibility. Saying it was meant to be is no excuse. Things could have been different. It's always important to remember that Wyrd contains various probabilities of the same event. Third rule, ain't no pity. Everything's bound to die, whether you fancy it or not, whether you pity it or not. You gotta learn to let go, to live through grief and pain without mourning what's gone. What's past is past. Let it go with thankfulness and carry on living, because there's only the here and now, nothing more. Besides not regretting the past, you shouldn't pity yourself either, as it's the biggest thing holding you back on your spiritual path. Being unsparing towards yourself can lead you to greater success and broaden your horizons. If you spot any flaws in yourself that hold you back from moving forward and achieving your goals, cut them loose without a second thought. Same goes for any unnecessary ties, commitments, or that tiresome job or education. Anything that no longer offers you growth but hinders your development should be destroyed and laid to rest for good. Only by letting the old perish can you open doors to welcome the new and wonderful into your life. Pitying others also hinders growth, because pitying others is either feeling superior to them or, once again, pitying yourself. When we pity someone and thereby place ourselves above them, this act, born from our pride, does nothing for our spiritual growth. When we pity someone who suffers because of us and our actions, we are actually pitying ourselves, because the suffering of another causes us inconvenience and discomfort. Such selfishness doesn't contribute to spiritual development either. Don't mix up ruthlessness with cruelty. Cruelty ain't a principle of hell. Cruelty is the absence of empathy, which hell does not welcome. Goddess, hell's visage. Hell comes both beautiful and terrifying at once. In the guise of the goddess of death, there's a sharp, flawless beauty, yet it's a cold, deadly allure that's utterly striking. Hell often appears as a brunette with long, straight hair, half of her body vibrant with life, youth, and health, while the other half is a bare skeleton, partially covered in decaying flesh. She often appears before the practitioner in a black cloak or ancient Scandinavian armor, usually with some part of her body almost always hidden from view. In the image of the mistress of Helheim, there's always a certain duality. She's beautiful and dreadful, young and old, compassionate and merciless, and all these qualities blend perfectly in the image of Goddess Hel, creating a perfect harmony. Most of the time, the goddess is stoic, not showing strong emotions. But her icy displeasure is more daunting than the rage of many giants, and a calm, approving smile is worth more than praise songs. Hell's image has left a strong mark on European culture to this day. The skeleton and death with a scythe remain the most common symbols of death. Hell's colors: white, black, deep dark blue. Her animals: crows and ravens, wolves. Her symbols: feathers, bones, skulls, carcasses, fur, pelts, seawater, rivers and flowing waters, ice cleared of snow, blood as a symbol of life and mortality, clocks, hourglasses, mechanical, bridges, roads, fog, dried and cut flowers like jasmine and lilac, sharp knives, hell's altar, black cloth, black candles. Always remember safety and keep separate dishes and glasses for hell. Also, if the altar is at home, it's important to ask the goddess not to spread energy throughout the room or apartment, as this could lead to unpleasant consequences for you and your loved ones. Communicating with Goddess Hel can happen at home in front of an altar or at abandoned bridges, overgrown roads, during misty twilight times, or during sunset or sunrise, nuances of communing with the death goddess. When you all converse with the goddess of death, there's a sense of space between Ya and Hel, so folks tend to address her with respect and formality. The mistress of Helheim is all calm and collected when she's communing. Hel speaks plain, concise, right to the point. She'll listen to what y'all got to say, then give you a straight, brief answer to your question. And let me tell you, no answer from her is an answer clear as day. First time, meeting. Hell might chill you to the bone, downright spooky. Then there's usually a spell where things quiet down, and some practitioners come back to chat with the death goddess, while others might not. Feelings from meeting Hell can vary. Most times there's a cool peace about it. But if something's gone awry and you've riled her up, expect to feel a bone chilling cold like the grave itself. Who does Goddess Hell generally favor, y'all? Those who live by the goddess's principles, right and true. Them folks who've come to terms with their own mortality, not fearing the end, but embracing the cycle of life. And those who truly value the time they've been given, using it wisely, not wasting a single moment. Offerings for Goddess Hell: grub, bloodied meat, dark bitter chocolate, and simple clean dishes. The purer, the better. Drinks: clear spirits like gin and vodka, a fine red wine, or a strong cup of coffee to keep the spirits high. Other offerings: thin menthol cigarettes, dried and cut flowers, mint, and though some might suggest animal sacrifices, that ain't recommended nor endorsed. Acts of devotion for Goddess Hell. Breath control practices: holding your breath as if diving deep into the waters of reflection, deep meditation, cleansing your life of all that extra clutter, finishing what's been left undone, wrapping up projects and dealing with those lingering issues, ending a drawn out and unpleasant conversation that needs closure, getting rid of the unnecessary, be it things or people, and sorting through the mess. Any act that signifies the removal of the past or the end of old life processes to make way for the new can be dedicated to Goddess Hell. It's crucial that these acts create a clean slate, making room for new endeavors, and any fresh action you've never taken before can be offered up to the Lady of Helheim. Sex as an offering to Hell, the orgasm, known as a little death, and BDSM practices from a submissive role for women. Here, it's all about experiencing that edge and letting go of control. The act of sex itself ain't of much interest to the goddess. What can Goddess Hell assist with? Turn to Hell when you need to let go. Say goodbye to the past. Finalize unresolved issues, or fundamentally change a situation. Hell can aid in transformations, initiations, and rituals for the final burial of something or someone. If you need to calm restless spirits, Hell's your go to. She can also guide practitioners in experiencing and living with their mortality, making them feel more alive than ever. Goddess Hel is a healer of various ailments and supports personal transformations and rebirths. The mistress of Helheim can help you leave a legacy, something that will be remembered for ages. Remember, when dealing with Goddess Hel, she's all about sticking to the letter and spirit of any agreement. Guaranteed. If the goddess of death promises you something, you can bet it'll come to pass. And she expects the same commitment to agreements from you. Only Forseti, the god of justice, who honors contracts justly, is stricter than hell in keeping to agreements.